Even after receiving billions in taxpayer money, banks still aren't lending, leaving houses like this one vacant. There's construction taking place all over Starkville. It's part of the city's initiative to boost the local economy by attracting new business. Falling gas prices are bringing motorists back to the pumps. I'm here at Hathorne Hall on the MSU campus where police report that shots were fired around 2 a.m. this morning in an attempted abduction of a female student. The opening of a new Crystals in Starkville has locals waiting in long lines for little burgers. The Starkville Community Theater presents Company, a Stephen Sondheim production on Thursday, October 30th at the Playhouse on Main. The musical comedy revolves around a main character named Bobby, his fear of commitment, and 5 married couples who happen to be his best friends. Performance dates are October 30th, November 2nd, and November 4th through the 8th. Tickets may be reserved by calling the SCT box office at 323-6855. The Rocky Horror Picture Show will be shown at the MSU Amphitheater on campus. It is free and participants are encouraged to dress up and bring props. There will be costume and trivia contests throughout the night, as well as live shots and interviews on My Mississippi TV. The 25th annual Downtown Christmas Open House is Sunday, November 2nd in Starkville. Shoppers can browse the decorated windows of local vendors, meet new merchants, and enjoy free samples, music, and of course, the company of neighbors. The opening of a new Crystals in Starkville has locals lined up for little burgers at little prices.
I just want to check it out. I love Crystal and finally got one to start.
Number 12, number 12.
Dude, we're having a awesome night before we hit some study books. So it's right before exams, so we just had to come try Crystals.
Huge Crystal fans, huge.
The appeal of Crystals is a simple burger. It's a very simple burger, but you can eat a dozen of them, a sack full, and that's what people are looking for. Simple meals.
I followed the crowd, and my daughter-in-law informed me it was open today, so I came out.
Well, I've been waiting for this moment for several years, and I had to be here the opening day.
I like Crystal because their burgers are good.
When I moved to Starkville 3 years ago, I said if I could have a Best Buy, a Target, and a Crystals, I could die in Starkville, and I am one step closer to my dream.
She asked me if I was going to be here at 6 o'clock this morning because that's when it opened, so, and I told her not quite, but close.
I don't know, it's quick, it's fun. Now that we have kids, they have little square chicken sandwiches, so what's not to love?
The grand opening brought out people of all ages. For Take 30, I'm Chrissy Kirk. Anxious citizens lined up early election day to cast their vote in one of the most important elections in recent history. But why was it important to citizens to cast their vote this election?
Well, we have a voice in how the country is run, and we exercise that through the voting process. If we don't vote, we forfeit our right to make a choice, and to my feeling is we forfeit our right to complain if things aren't done the way we'd like them to be done.
The excitement of this year's election brought out people of all ages. But why was it important to citizens to cast their vote this election?
Well, I just feel it's our democratic duty to cast our vote for whoever we feel is going to be the best representative for us. And so I think we all need to get out and get the vote for what we believe in.
It's my duty.
I'm so sick of George Bush, I can't stand it. I have to make a change.
Same here, 18, finally ready.
It's my daughter's future. And Hannah, she's voted in her school, and but I think it's her future. It's my future, but it's my daughter's and my grandchildren one day.
Many poll workers were surprised and excited about the voter turnout.
We never had this high turnout for MSU students. And that has been surprising to me. I'm very proud of that. I'm very happy about it because it's actually going to have an impact on this election.
Many people felt that they had an opportunity to be a part of history. For Take 30, I'm Chrissy Kirk. Welcome back to Take 30. You know, this year has been a year of political first in U.S. politics. We've had an African American and a woman vying for the presidential nomination, and now we also have a woman vying for the vice presidential nomination. Well, here in the Magnolia State, the U.S. Senate race is no less monumental. Today we have with us Victor Warrensley of the MSU College Democrats, and he's going to discuss the campaign of Governor Ronnie Musgrove. So Victor, no Democrat has held the U.S. Senate seat since the late 80s. Why are Democrats so hopeful that Musgrove would have a shot this year?
Well, first, Christy, thank you for allowing me to be on the show today.
You're welcome.
And Democrats are hopeful that Governor Musgrove will have a chance to take the senatorial seat simply because of his name recognition.
Now, Victor, Wicker has held the U.S. Senate seat for the duration of Trent Lott's term so far. Wouldn't his name be recognized as well?
Well, not necessarily.
Victor, the issues that seem to be on most Americans' minds right now are the economy, national security, and maybe illegal immigration. Where does Musgrove stand on those issues?
Well, Governor Musgrove believes in the economy, in the strong U.S. economy, and he believes that we're going in the wrong direction, but in the national. Also, with illegal immigration, Governor Musgrove also has a strong stance on illegal immigration in this state.
Musgrove seems to be more of a conservative Democrat. How will that help him or hurt him in the upcoming election?
Well, it's going to absolutely help him simply because this is Mississippi. I think especially when it goes down to the national race, where you have a majority of white voters who are going to be supporting John McCain, 87% to 13% when comparing to Barack Obama.
So where does that place the African Americans that would normally vote Democratic, like the African Americans that voted for Obama? Would you expect them to also vote for Musgrove?
I believe so. However, one of the issues that has been followed.
This is definitely an interesting race, to say the least. What can you expect
on the ballot?
Well, thank you, Victor. I'm sorry we're out of time. I want to thank you for joining us today, and we'll definitely keep our eyes open for the 2008 Senate race.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Thank you. Coming up, we'll discuss a question that may be on many people's minds: why some people choose not to evacuate under threat of a hurricane, right after this commercial break.
What was the atmosphere out there?
The atmosphere was just amazing. The energy was so high. So many people were passionate about getting out and getting their vote to be heard.
Yeah, it was, like Chrissy said, just so amazing just to see all the people come out and, vote.
So what was the turnout like for Starkville?
You know, I talked to poll workers in all the locations, and they were saying that there were record turnouts, and they were excited about it. I spoke with Miss Charlene Samuels. She was a poll manager here at the Hump on campus, and she said that usually they have about 7% of the student turnout, and this year they had 50%, so she was extremely excited about that.
And one of the most amazing things to me was we went to the polls right before they closed at 7 o'clock, and there were still people in line. There was still a long line outside, and here in Starkville, Mississippi, and that was just amazing.
Yeah, and at 7 o'clock, people were still trying to line up.
So what would y'all say is the driving force behind getting so many people out this year in particular?
I think that either way, on either side of the line, whichever way you voted, you were going to be making history, and people were aware of that, and they wanted to be a part of it.
I also think there were just so many issues this year. We had 2 senators getting elected, we had our representatives being reelected, as well as the historical presidential election.
And there were a lot of life-changing issues on the table too, I think, and I think that affected a lot of people as well.
Now, was this the first time for a lot of these voters to be out there? Why do you think that this was their first time to get involved in the politics?
You know, I think a lot of it has to do with the media and having more access to the candidates. I think that the youth were more informed, and I think also it goes back to making history again. They knew that this was something big and that they were going to be making history with their vote.
Yeah, and we've really seen a shift of young people just getting more interested in politics and making the change and knowing that their vote counts. And there have been so many voter registration drives here on campus by different groups, just throughout this semester as well as last semester. So I really think that helped encourage all the young voters to come out and actually vote.
Now, was anybody aggressive with their opinion?
Well, no, what I found is that most people were pretty middle of the road, very reasonable, and I don't think anybody had unrealistic expectations of the candidates or anything like that.
Yeah, and everybody was just so open and so friendly. Like we said earlier, the atmosphere there was just, it was really unified.
Okay, now was there anybody who you talked to who didn't know who they were going to vote for at the time?
No, I think by the time that you lined up and lined to cast your vote, you were pretty sure. Most people were just, whether they shared it or not with us, I'm sure they were pretty certain about who their candidate was.
Yeah.
Okay, now can you tell me about, like, as far as being on campus, there were a lot of college students out to vote. What was going on in their heads? What were they saying?
They were just excited. They were all that they were just happy to be voting, like you said, many for the first time, and they just wanted to be a part of the process.
Yeah, and everybody, like I said, just so many issues on the table, whether it was the war in Iraq or the economy, or just so many different things that drove people out, especially the young voters, out to vote.
But we were told also by the election commissioner that there were a lot of older people that were voting or coming back to the polls that hadn't voted for years as well.
So earlier we had mentioned about specific issues that people were voting for. Do you think that that's why a lot of people were voting for their particular candidate was because of one issue, or were they taking everything in as a whole before they made their decision?
I think most people base their votes on their own values. And so I'm sure that some personal issues did come into play in choosing their candidates as well.
Yeah, because the candidates this year, as far as values and different things that they stood for, were so different and so varying. I think that made it a lot easier for voters to decide.
Okay. Well, thank y'all very much for being here today. It was a pleasure talking to y'all.